This is the WYDE Weekly for July 2nd, 2026. This was the week the on-ramp stopped being a crypto story and became everyone's story. Right alongside the money, the receipts came due and the donations did not stop. A tokenization firm rang the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. Visa and BlackRock lined up 140 firms behind a single stablecoin standard. Robinhood and X dropped real yield into apps people already carry in their pockets. There was a $400 million Ponzi guilty plea, a $600 million pharma settlement, and egg giants paying out 53 million eggs to food banks. Then Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce sent $26 million out the door with 9 food banks on the list. First, the build. The big one this week. Our Eat Card app reached the final round of Apple's App Store review and could go live any day, and the first businesses have signed up for the beta to begin spending on the card. That extends the model from trading into everyday spending, so purchases, not just swaps, become a funding channel. It is Visa Debit, FDIC insured through a regulated bank partner, no crypto knowledge required, and every swipe feeds the mission. Our docs now live at WYDE Hub, one onboarding home for causes, holders, and cardholders, built around cause coins with EAT as the first one. And Aaron and co-founder Martin Sims went deep on the impact exchange and contributory consumption on the Crypto Altruists podcast, episode 256. Worth a listen if you want the why behind all of this. Next, the mission money showed up. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce gave away $26 million, and 9 of the recipients feed people. The couple quietly moved the money to nonprofits this week, and 9 of the named recipients are food banks. When the 2 biggest names in American pop culture route real money to hunger relief, the cause stops being niche and starts being the story. Egg giants settled a price-fixing case by sending 53 million eggs to food banks. A 16-state and DOJ price-fixing case against major egg producers ended with 53 million eggs and $3.3 million headed to food banks. It is the rare accountability outcome that shows up as protein on a shelf and not just a fine on a filing. More in hunger, giving, and food commerce. States could owe $9 billion for SNAP, as a payment error rate cost shift moves billions in food aid costs from Washington to state budgets. 3 one-off Toy Story Porsches funded $3 million in charity gifts. Points of Light unveiled a $100 million plan to double U.S. volunteers by 2035. Raimondo and Holcomb launched Raise US, a $1 billion AI workforce nonprofit. Kroger agreed to buy Giant Eagle for $1.65 billion, a year after its Albertsons deal collapsed, and food access is the subtext. A new executive order pushed regenerative agriculture and chemical exposure research, and researchers say California's cow manure climate credits overstate their payoff. Now, Wall Street finished moving on-chain. Securitize debuted on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker SECZ, the first tokenization firm to list there. The infrastructure that puts real assets on-chain just got a public ticker on the most traditional venue there is. OpenUSD launched with Visa, BlackRock, and 140 firms behind one standard. When that many incumbents agree on one set of on-chain dollar rails, the fragmented era of stablecoins is ending. More in institutional crypto. Ondo launched the first tokenized U.S. stocks inside the SEC's custodial model. Robinhood launched Robinhood Chain and brought decentralized finance yield into its app. Around 7% delivered inside an app tens of millions already use. Crédit Agricole launched a regulated euro stablecoin and settled Europe's first euro stablecoin fund deal. BNY added USDC as the first stablecoin on its institutional custody platform, which means the oldest bank in America now custodies a stablecoin. BlackRock added Ethena's dollar token to its Aladdin risk system and made its own tokenized fund its stablecoin reserve. Nasdaq put its premium market data on-chain through the Pyth network, so exchange data becomes readable by smart contracts. Ethereum launched an institutional nonprofit and a government primer on the same day. Europe's MiCA deadline arrived, forcing unlicensed firms to wind down, with Ripple winning a preliminary license while Binance began halting some European services. The BIS warned stablecoins fall short of trusted money, even as the rails filled in. And Tether opened its $23 billion gold reserve to loans backed by tokenized bullion. Then, the receipts came due. The founder of Goliath Ventures pleaded guilty in a $400 million crypto Ponzi scheme. The headline accountability moment of the week, a founder admitting fault on a 9-figure fraud, is exactly the kind of outcome an on-chain trail makes faster to reach. More in fraud and accountability. Alibaba and Alipay US agreed to pay $600 million over illegal pharmaceutical sales in a major settlement with the DOJ. A decentralized finance attacker inflated a tokenized Google stock by 7,700% to drain a lending pool. A reminder that new rails carry new attack surfaces. Magic Eden was sued over its token by the firm behind the Pump.Fun cases. Polymarket faced CFTC scrutiny and Senate pressure over staged trade videos. The Supreme Court ruled geofence warrants are a search under the Fourth Amendment. And the Supreme Court ended for-cause removal protection at agencies including the SEC and the CFTC, a structural shift for the crypto regulators. Science did not slow down. Neuralink threaded its brain implant through the dura without cutting it open. The company completed a first-of-its-kind insertion that places its implant through the brain's protective membrane without opening it. It is a real patient-stake milestone, the kind of step that turns an experimental device into a repeatable procedure. More in science and health. The Breakthrough Prize honored the discovery of the gene behind ALS and frontotemporal dementia, a find now driving therapies in trials. Scientists built Spud Cell, the first synthetic cell with a complete life cycle. Conception says it made the first human eggs from stem cells, an early and contested step in reproductive science. A 1 billion-to-1 blood test beat standard scans at predicting cancer survival. Tessel Bio released Sesame, a generative chemistry model that can fill any protein pocket. Edison tapped its AI scientist Cosmos to build new biotech companies. Mushroom-based chips showed living mycelium can do real computing. CERN shut down the Large Hadron Collider for its high luminosity upgrade. A pause now for far more data later. And Anthropic launched Claude Science, an AI workbench for researchers. Finally, AI got practical. Claude Fable 5 returned after a 19-day government-ordered shutdown tied to export control enforcement. The episode is a preview of how tangled frontier AI and government policy are about to get. More in AI, creators, and commerce. Square let restaurants take orders directly from ChatGPT and Claude, so ordering moves inside the AI assistant with no marketplace commission. X launched Live Studio and put $1 million behind creator live streams. X Money opened to more users with a 6% yield and a Visa card. California signed a first-of-its-kind deal to put Claude in state agencies. The White House released Rampart, a tiny open-source model that redacts your data. And OpenAI floated, giving the U.S. government a 5% stake worth $42.6 billion. Now eat by the numbers. Meals funded, nearly 60,000, against the next milestone of 100,000. That is the number we actually measure, and it only moves one direction. EAT sits at a fraction of a cent as of July 2nd, up just over 8% over the past 24 hours, with a market cap around $1.8 million, roughly $680,000 in liquidity, and about 1,200 holders 6 months after launching on Base through Uniswap per Gecko terminal. Every trade and every swipe routes 25% of the fee to hunger relief, and every dollar that reaches that bucket creates 5 meals through our Feed the Children partnership. Before we close, join us. We are accepting new cardholders into the EAT Card beta right now, ahead of the public launch. If you create, our creator program pays on verified results, not follower count. And if you run a business, the Cause Card extends to business spend too. The beta sign-up link is in this week's newsletter. The rails went public this week, and the money got louder on both sides, the giving and the fraud. Our whole job is to keep those two things connected, so the giving is as visible as the receipts. Worth watching. Onward. The WYDE team.